Hey folks, this is Kalani. A little news bomb was just dropped in the form of a Legion invasion. It's not scheduled for a little while though. The Burning Legion will be knocking down our doors on August 30th, which is a tad later than many would have hoped. That puts our next expansion on the edge of summer and around about the start of the fall semester for anyone still in school or college. That may be a little disappointing for some, but shouldn't come as too much of a surprise. We've got Overwatch launching in about a month, so I'm sure Blizzard wants to give it plenty of time to grow while there's not much to do in WoW. With the actual launch date set in stone, we hope, we can speculate a little more accurately when the pre-patch might drop. With the 7.0 pre-patch, we'll have access to the Legion invasions, which are reportedly all over Azeroth, as well as all the new reworks of specs like Melee Survival Hunter and Demonology Warlock no longer being a wannabe Demon Hunter. Speaking of Demon Hunters, they'll be released somewhere in the pre-patch too, giving us a little bit of time to get used to them before Legion launches proper. I'd confidently put the pre-patch somewhere towards the end of June or the start of July. That would give them almost 2 months of pre-patch goodness, plenty of time for people to become accustomed to the changes and lots of Legion invasions to thwart. But maybe more importantly, it will be timed well with any new players who come to the game from watching the movie. I'm not sure if Blizzard's plan to include a battle chest with every movie ticket went forward and is still up for discussion, but I don't doubt anyone previously on the fence about trying World of Warcraft might just be pushed off. If these folks end up joining the game in June or July, then the pre-patch lands a month afterward, they're going to have an already new experience turned on its head. It may be prudent of Blizzard to simply align the two, giving new players the smoothest introduction to what Legion is all about. Any later than mid-July, and I'd argue they've made a bad decision. So we may be able to sink our teeth into some new content within 3 months, but we're still 4.5 months out from the actual expansion. That makes Hellfire Citadel an even longer raid tier than Siege of Orgrimmar, which was the raid which prompted more promises of no long content droughts and faster expansions, which seems to be the message every time an expansion rolls around and never really seems to mean much in the end. It's an interesting predicament when we're told we don't have to deal with something repeatedly, but always end up having to deal with it. At this point, I'm not sure most of us are even too surprised, which itself is a little worrying. Hopefully, Warlords will be the last hurdle to actually getting faster content, or at least more consistent content. I just hope we don't suffer when it comes to content quality. On the topic of quality, Legion is actually looking really good. Like, seriously good. I've enjoyed pretty much every moment I've spent in the alpha, and I'm once again stuck trying to choose what to play as a main when the expansion finally launches. While frustrating, that feeling makes me even more excited because I know what's waiting after the dreadful drought is going to be a blast. It seems as though Blizzard has been listening, albeit a little more cautiously this time, to the feedback on each alpha iteration. Monsters in the world seem less forgiving and more dangerous. Pulling more than 3 mobs pushed me to use cooldowns effectively to stay alive, though the gear many players will start the expansion with might carry them until 104 or 105, so that challenge may appear later for some folks. The world feels more involved too. There's a few reasons to go out and explore each area, if only to complete all the small bonus objectives or rare events for a few more resources or artifact power. Artifacts also seem to be shaping up nicely, giving us a new talent system reminiscent of our old talent trees and giving power to our choices, if only for a limited time. Professions and the world quests also throw you out into the world, so there seems to be plenty to do. Even though the positives are plentiful, there's a few parts of Legion which still baffle me. The best example I can give is the health pools and current numbers we're working with. At level 110, a DPS should expect to have around 1.5 million health as you start. I don't even understand how this happened. It's like we had that stat squish for no reason at all. The point of the squish was to bring crazy numbers back into line because they were getting out of control. All that work was undone within one expansion. We're beyond where we were before, so that seems kind of pointless. We'll be getting to the same point as Diablo 3 where we need abbreviations for numbers because they're getting too long. It's ridiculous. I'd love to go back to some reasonable numbers, maybe around a Wrath era. I feel like when you get into the hundreds of thousands, you've probably gone too far. Hopefully the positives will shine through and Legion will be an amazing experience for everyone. I think the biggest concern is whether it will go the same route as Warlords, because Warlords was great until the content gaps and lack of meaningful patches, so as long as we don't get another 6.1 and we get a proper 7.1 patch, I'll be cautiously optimistic. But if we don't get decent patches and we do end up with long periods with no content again, there might be another answer on the table. If you've been paying attention to World of Warcraft news recently, you'll have heard Nostalrius without fail. If you're not in the loop, Nostalrius is, or I guess was, a World of Warcraft vanilla private server. That probably just got two very different reactions. Oh hell no, private servers, and ooh, vanilla private server. I'll admit I poked around Nostalrius a little, but private servers are something I find myself incapable of getting behind. Most of the time. Looking back, both my girlfriend and I regret not spending a little more time in Nostalrius, simply for the fact that vanilla is an enjoyable experience when you know what you're getting yourself into. I guess it's semi-fortunate we only poked a toe in, as we would have lost everything tied to Nostalrius because it was shut down very recently. Blizzard threatened to take legal action pending a cease and desist request, so that was the end of Nostalrius. They took everything down, and its popularity may have been its downfall. But the best thing about it being popular was that it was a pretty legit server. Most private servers would request or require funds for running the server, as well as tweak parts of the game they deemed undesirable, like vanilla's experience grind and difficulty. Nostalrius didn't do any of that. It was as vanilla as private servers come. It's curious that many other private servers are still being run for profit, while Blizzard actively targeted and took down the one that wasn't. The one which most accurately portrayed their original creation. But I digress. The main topic I want to discuss here is legacy servers, or more specifically, progression servers. A legacy server would be Blizzard opening a new server, either separate from the current game or tied to it, which is basically vanilla as it was. A progression server would go one step further. It would open and start as vanilla, then progress as it did back in the day, through each patch and through each expansion, until it reached current content. The pace at which it would progress would obviously be up for discussion, but there's a perfect opportunity for Blizzard to create something like this for themselves. The huge content gap that they seemingly can't close would suddenly be filled with the progression of an entirety of WoW so far. It would give everyone the chance of a reset, much like ladder resets in Diablo 3, which keeps the game alive, and give new players the choice to experience how the game used to be, or older players to replay their favourite nostalgia-filled moments. At this point, it looks like a progression server would have a year of no content in retail WoW, which might not be enough or could be just the right amount. I also don't see a great reason for Blizzard to take down Nostalrius if they didn't have plans of their own to fill the void Nostalrius left. There's clearly a lot of people interested in the glory days. Alas, these are just my thoughts. Blizzard's current stance, as we know, is that they have no plans, nor see any time in the future when they will consider plans, to open up any form of legacy server. I just think they're missing out on a great opportunity. I mean, RuneScape managed, and seems to have done very well for itself since. If they aren't interested in bringing back the old days, I hope they would at least look at the parts of those expansions which people really enjoyed and got behind. It's been frustrating to see WoW continually decline since Wrath of the Lich King. It's hard to see a game you love and want to spend time playing being the target of negative criticism, especially when it's well-founded. There may be some merit in the suggestion of removing the looking for dungeon tool, as the looking for group tool does a perfectly good job of being a middle ground between looking in trade and teleporting straight into a dungeon. At least with the group finder tool, you'll have to get out into the world and actually know where the dungeon entrances are. For warlords, I didn't know where half of them were until Mythic Dungeons came around. All I ask for Legion, and what I feel is still missing, is a reason for the community to once again thrive. I believe the lack of community is the reason WoW feels so empty right now, even when it has some of the best gameplay available. But those are, again, just my thoughts, and this turned into a bit of a rant video, but hey-ho, never mind. Legion launches August 30th, and it better be worth the wait. As long as Alpha continues the way it has, I'm sure it will be. If you have anything you'd like to see from the Alpha, I'll be continuing to make videos for as long as I have content to make videos on. So, leave any requests down in the comment section below and I'll do my best. Remember to leave a like just below the video before you leave, and if you want to see more, make sure to subscribe. But apart from that, thanks for watching folks, good luck and have fun, and as always, I will see you next time.